Now, I don't think I've ever told you this story of the first time I knew that Advent even existed, let alone that there was an Advent wreath. I was about 15 years old, and maybe something you can relate to. My congregation had a new minister at Christmas time. And he wanted to do new things, things I had never heard of before. Now, unbeknownst to me, my mother already knew what Advent was. Imagine that. But she had never told me that any such thing existed. So now, not only were we lighting an Advent wreath in the sanctuary as part of our Christmas festivities, she bought a wreath and put it in our home. I knew that there was only one option. It could be me or it could be Advent. And we were in an epic tussle for the ages. Every morning I woke up and saw this wreathed monstrosity in my household, daring me, challenging me to do a new practice that I had no idea had existed for centuries, nor did I have any desire to engage in. I didn't know at the time that it's a celebration of bringing light back into the world, that it's an observance of different values that are very like our own Unitarian Universalist ones. On this first Sunday in the season of Advent, and perhaps my favorite value in this time, we focus on hope. Hope is something that we always need and something that we are more capable of bringing into the world when we work together. And certainly there are events in the world that give us such great reason to be hopeful, at the same time that there are those that make us sorrowful and regretful. James Luther Adams, mid-20th century scholar and theologian of Unitarian Universalism, created 5 smooth stones for liberal religion. Now, something we don't usually talk about, his 5 smooth stones were supposed to hearken us back to Hebrew Bible and the story of David and Goliath, who was able to slay the giant with his slingshot. So these are actual weapons. These are not just tools, because James Luther Adams lived in a time a lot like ours, where there was encroaching fascism, where there were issues with people taking rights from other people. And one of those smooth stones is hope, or optimism. He reminds us that the divine and human tools, our divine and human capabilities for doing more in the world, for righting the world and making it the way that we need it to work for each of us. In short, the building of the beloved community justifies an attitude of optimism. Now, I like to make a distinction between optimism and hope. I think that optimism sometimes can be this kind of airy-fairy philosophical construct that, I'm optimistic. I don't know when anything will happen, and I'm not going to work toward it. But I'm generally optimistic. I like hope a little bit more because I view it as an active verb. I'm hopeful, we're hopeful, we bring hope into the world together. This is, of course, not a distinction that the Reverend James Luther Adams made, but I think it's helpful in our time when we're thinking about optimism might be a goal that we're moving toward, but hope is the process by which we get there. Does that make sense? So in this time, Advent wreath that I finally made peace with, we have so many ways to make sure that we're bringing more hope into the world, more joy into the world, more love into the world. So many reminders here in our natural world, as well as the ones that we construct in our sanctuaries, be they the shared ones we have here, the altars at home, or maybe the altars of our own beings. We are able to amplify our attitude of hope together. We're able to find new hope when things seem most dire. And honestly, That's the greatest lesson of the season. That no matter what, we have the tools together to hope anew, even when all seems lost.